Truly my pleasure to be here as you honor your dear friend and family member. Yes, it is true. I am a retired American flight attendant. And actually prior to that, I worked as a flight attendant for TWA. So I was in the air for well over 30 years. But that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm also on the board of directors of Flight Path Museum. And it's only 3 miles from here on Imperial Highway. And it's the old Imperial Terminal. And anybody been there?
Yes.
All right. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Well, I've lived in this aviation community for a lot of years, and we hear stuff. So I was remembering. Now, I helped to open Flight Path Museum in 2003. So I've seen a lot of our items that come into the museum and a lot of the people that come into our museum. And when I heard there was going to be a special gathering for Captain Neuman with American Airlines, I went, I think there's something here. And I would love that Captain Paul Neuman Jr. come up here. Because we would like to make a special presentation. There are certain things. Your dad visited the museum, and he also donated his flight kit bag. And we think it should remain in the family. And so I am here tonight to present it to you.
I went to the museum with my dad, and I saw it sitting there. Oh, I gotta bring it out.
It's obviously, he used it a lot, but, and we were so happy to have that on display for a long time. But as I said, I think it needs to belong in the family, and so.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And everybody, by the way, if you would like to volunteer at a very special location, we're recruiting. So, and if you haven't been, please do. We would love to welcome you at Flight Path Museum.
Oh, that's great.
I'm gonna break it in 1 second. So we had the fear in us, like, don't break anything. And don't let anything happen to the bikes, because when we got old enough to ride the 10 speed and the 15 derailleurs, the big ones, that was a big thing. So one day my cousin, where's Brenda? Is she here? Oh, Brenda. Bonnie, her sister, my other cousin, and I were riding the bikes. We were like 15. We're like, wow, we finally get to ride these bikes. We're riding them in the neighborhood, and can you believe it? This car starts following us, and we just started, freaking out. Oh my gosh, these guys are, harassing us, and we're trying to ride our bikes so fast to get away from them. And we pulled into a driveway and just rode in the back of the driveway. We're in this backyard, just hiding from, these guys. And next thing you know, we hear a car coming down the driveway. We're like, oh no, they followed us. So instead of just dropping the bikes and running out of there, we're like trying to jam the bikes down the side of the house, because don't ever leave the bikes. Nothing can happen to the bikes, Like, we can't go home without the bikes. So we're like trying to jam them into the side of the yard there. And then next thing you know, the car door opens, and it was the lady who lived there. And then we started crying. What's wrong, girls? And we love riding the bikes, and these guys were following us. And anyways, we were only a block from home, so we made it home okay. But, we just don't let anything happen to the bikes or anything. And that's just one story. So let's see, we have a couple people. We have co-workers, and we have friends, family. You guys are all friends. Who would like to maybe share just a little memory. It could be funny, it could be serious, it could be memorable, work-related, anything. So feel free to come on up.
Before I start talking about this, how did the Neuman family arrange such a fantastic flight past? Amazing, I've never seen it. The presidents don't get what's happening here today with all those airplanes. Paul would be fascinated. As I mentioned this morning, I had the opportunity to sit with Paul, and Paul told his story. And this story was published in the American Aviation Historical Society Journal in 2019. And I asked the secretary for extra copies. Well, apart from the one I got and Paul got, I got 2 extras. However, the society printed out a copy. And they said, if anybody would like a copy, please give your email to Diana, and the society will email you a copy of this is Paul's story as Paul told it. So whatever he told me is in here. Okay? So if you need it or like it, contact Diane and give her your email. Okay? This one is a little special because I had it on my table and I had the opportunity to spill a glass of water over it. So I'll give it to Paul free. And the reason I'm giving it to him, if he thinks I'm an all-wet writer, he's got the proof.
All that time, despite the fact that my husband had come here from a foreign country, he never mentioned one word about sponsoring another family. I don't believe he ever mentioned the Depression. He never spoke of himself or his career as though they were anything special. You know, like I think we've all agreed, he was a really gruff guy. But the fact is, he wasn't boastful. He wasn't proud. And honestly, you know, some of the things I've learned now, I wish I had knew when he was alive. I would have had more respect. I think I might have appreciated more and tried a little more, maybe to get to know him on a personal level, as opposed to just a superficial, hey, you know, somebody's graduating, come on over, have a slice of cake, take a picture. I mean, we actually have pictures of him that we took of him, claim to fame there. But, you know, I think that does say a lot about you guys as dad and your grandfather, that he never bragged about any of that stuff. And I mean, there are plenty of opportunities. He could have just casually thrown something in, and he didn't. Never, not once. And I think that says a lot.
39 anniversary. And Paul, he's got a great family. You know, the kid, it's great. But just a couple things. When I first met Paul, because Diane and I we met in 39.
Oh, wait, when?
I'm sorry, 79. I'm not that old, sorry. Anyways, when I first met Paul, the church I was going to a Baptist church at the time, and we'd wear suits, and I had a 3-piece suit. So I met him, and so he started, when I started coming back to the house, he either would call me the preacher or the undertaker because of the
No.
But the first time that I did meet him, and when we started to date, he looks at me and goes, "Do you smoke? Do you have a police record? Do you have a bad driving record?" I mean, he's asking me these questions. No. But some of the things, a couple things, I know that Dry Lake was mentioned earlier, and we'd go out to the Dry Lake and we'd go land sailing. And I remember this one time, I ride a motorcycle. Matter of fact, Diane and I, our first date was on a motorcycle. We went for a ride. So I rode out to the El Mirage Dry Lake, and after the weekend, we're on our way home. And so Paul, they would stop off, there was a gas station, and they would have to empty the toilet, the trailer that they pulled. And I don't know if he was there, and just the expression on his face, it was like death was overwhelming him. It was like he's dumping it, and I'm off at a distance. I'm just watching, like. I mean, it's like he's going. Another time, this was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. They have a 2-story house, and the rain gutter that comes down from the upstairs, there was a bird's nest up there. He wanted me to go up there and kind of get it down, because then he's going to put these spikes up there. So I got the ladder, I put the ladder up there, and he had the shakes in his later years. And he's like this, let me hold the ladder for you. Let me hold the ladder for you. That's okay. But, you know, it's, you know, 1979, so 44 years I've known Paul, and it's been interesting. But it's enjoyable. You know, you'll learn from this. So, but it was a lot of fun. So Diane was a student at UCLA at the time, and let's see, we were going to marry after you graduated. So that was like in '83. We got married in '84, January of '84. And so he says, well, why do you have to get married? So why now? You know, why don't you wait? And actually, I think we were planning on getting married before you graduated.
Well, we wanted to get married in October.
Yeah,
That's when we started going together.
Okay, yes, in October. And so we settled for January.
Only because he didn't say no. He didn't say
He didn't say
yes.
no.
The first time he said no, but the second time he didn't say no, but he didn't say yes. So we said, are we engaged? I guess so.
All right, Diane.
All right. How about you introduce yourself?
Why? Hi, everybody. My name's Eric Fernandez. I haven't done any public speaking in a while, so I don't know what I'm going to say. I got to know the Neumans when we changed churches. We used to be at Trinity Lutheran in Hawthorne, and then we switched over to Good Shepherd over in Inglewood. And Diane was in my class, and Polly was class or two behind us. Norm's class. Yeah, my brother did. So we got to know him because, you know, of course, my dad and Paul were talking, Paul Sr. Sometimes you'll hear me call him Paul, it's not a disrespect. You know, he's just senior. And so my dad worked at American Airlines. He was an aircraft maintenance inspector out here in LAX for years and years and years. And so they kind of hit it off, and then we just started kind of somewhat hanging out together, not so much, but we carpooled together when we got to high school and all those stuff. But the experiences that Mark went through and Paul went through, I went through. You know, because the best part about Paul Sr. was that, you know, he was so smart, and he never let you know, you could just tell, you know, and he was never arrogant, he was always humble, and he was always trying to educate you. And one of the quotes I learned from him, probably when I thought I was bigger than myself, was that, you know, no matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody better than you, so keep working hard. And that has stuck with me forever. But he was a prankster too. Just, you know, I mean, we went out to Omaha's Dry Lake one time. You know what I'm gonna say. So we were out there, and I was really proud of my vehicle. I always took great care of it. And so I don't know if Diane and I took off on a dirt bike one time, or else it was Land Sailors or something. I don't know what it was. I come back, and there's this puddle of antifreeze underneath the front of my car. And I'm like panicking. And he looks, you know, he's dry sense, and he goes, "What's the problem?" He goes, "Oh, you know." And then I thought, yeah, you know, so I'm trying to figure out ways on how to address this. So he leaves me on the line for about 15 minutes with the hook in my mouth. And then he finally pulls it out. because he told me that he put the antifreeze on my car. So he was good at that. But you know, I love the man because he taught me how to fly. He told me to show up out at Hawthorne Airport, and he goes, just show up, you know, because I had my AMP license at the time, so I thought we were gonna work on it or something. And he said, get in, and that's what introduction to flying. I never bid on that hook that hard the way everybody else did. You know, I was more on the aircraft maintenance side stuff. Had the same experiences with my dad that Paul had with his. You know, I'd be out here at the hangar when I was 9 years old, midnight shift, just because I didn't have to go to bed, so I could be up long. So yeah, but he's awesome. And you know, it's funny is when I first job I had really in airlines was with Delta out here. And then that was in 81, and 83 I moved to Dallas, and after that I kind of had been in touch, and we hadn't been together or talked for about probably 30 years. It was a long, super long time. And then when I left Delta and went to work for UPS in 2006, I moved to Louisville. I'm in the Best Buy in St. Matthews in Louisville, crowded, and I hear my name, and Eric, and nobody knows me. And I hear Eric Fernandez, I go, this ain't good. And I turn around, and it's Polly. And Polly's got these two on his hands. They're like this big. And he goes, it's Paul. I go, Paul who? You know, because I didn't change. He was babyface when we were flying. And then he goes, Paul Neuman. I go, oh my God. And then after that, we got together again. Found out he's flying for UPS as MD-11 captain. I taught the MD-11, so it was great. So, you know, we've been able to, that was 16 years ago. So we've been able to get back together again, and was able to spend some time with Paul when he showed up out at his house, which was always fun. You know, he's always great doing tours and stuff. Just super love the man. Can't say anything else. But other than that, fabulous families, fabulous legacy of families. So great friends. So I'll be forever indebted to him. Anyways, that's my
focus here is to talk about the things that he did as an American Airlines employee. My son is an airline pilot. He works for American Airlines. But before he did, every time we went to a group of people called the Silver Stripes Luncheons, Paul would ask about my son. What's he doing? I said, well, he's working for another company. When is he going to work for American Airlines? I said, I do not know, but I know he would like to work for American Airlines. So as time passed and Paul got to the point where he was a little more infirmed, he was still the focus of the group, but he never failed to ask me, how is your son and when is he going to work for American Airlines? Eventually, my son did get the job with American Airlines, and he's now a happy employee as a pilot with American. And at our Silver Stripes meetings, Paul never failed to ask my son, how do you like your job with American Airlines?